Seriously, I am worried about Alien 5 now. Chappie. So Chappie is the new movie from writer and director Neill Blomkamp, who did District 9 and Elysium. He's gonna be doing Alien 5, which is kind of why I brought it up in the beginning. So Chappie is set in the future, like all the other Neill Blomkamp movies out there. It's a dystopian future in which crimes are being committed at a high rate. The police force in Johannesburg can't control the crime rate. So the South African government hires this country named Tetraval, who's headed by Sigourney Weaver, and she hires one of her own agents in the company, who's played by Dev Patel, to make these robots, and these robots ultimately become the police force. They control crime, they crack down on crime, and now crime is like nowhere to be found. Turns out Dev Patel is also working on an experiment that he's trying to do with robots, and turns out he creates Chappie, and Chappie is this robot who's not a robot in the police force. All the while Hugh Jackman and his awesome-tacular mullet try to take out Chappie. I think I said country when I said South African hires, when I was trying to say South African hires a company. I meant company, not country. It's hard to talk fast, okay? So now to talk about Chappie. Honestly, I thought Chappie was going to be really good. It was by the director of District 9 and Elysium. It was Neill Blomkamp. I really loved District 9. It was a unique movie when it came out. It was something different. And then he did Elysium. That came out. A lot of people had mixed feelings on that. It was kind of a mixed bag, but that one I liked. I'm a sucker for Elysium. I thought it was pretty good. And now we get Chappie, which touches on the theme of humanity. Sort of. First of all, it's casted well. Charlton Copley does the voice of Chappie. He does a really good job as Chappie. Hugh Jackman, Sigourney Weaver, Dev Patel do really good. It's just they're playing characters you don't really give a shit about except for Dev Patel and Chappie. Hugh Jackman is there. He's the villain in the movie, but honestly, his mullet is more of a threat than he is. And then I'm watching this last night and I'm thinking, why is Sigourney Weaver in this movie? And then another thought crossed my mind. I was like, is this her audition for Neill Blomkamp's Alien 5? Yes, this guy is doing Alien 5. I'm like, if she's coming back for Alien 5, what's the point? Alien 3 and Alien 4 sucked. Don't need to bring Ripley back for another Alien movie. If this is her audition for Alien 5, I lost all faith. So no, you don't like Hugh Jackman's character, you don't like Sigourney Weaver's character, but the two actors, and the two characters, actually three actors, and the three characters you hate the most in this movie are these assholes. There's only two of them, sorry, I couldn't find a picture of all three together, so I only got two of them. These two are pretty much the big assholes. Well, I mean, the girl is kind of tame, but she's still an asshole. These guys are the epitome of douchebags. They hate all humankind, it feels like. These guys are the least likable characters I've ever seen in a movie. They're drug dealers, they're assholes, they don't care about Chappie, they adopt Chappie, they don't give two shits about Chappie, they want him to be a bad guy. Ultimately, they're Neill Blomkamp's friends, which is the problem with Neill Blomkamp. He's got a lot of friends in Johannesburg, because that's where he was born. These are a couple of his friends. They're not good actors, they're not likable characters, therefore I don't like them. And their whole story arc sets up what looks like a subplot but ends up being the main plot of the movie. And that is, oh, we're gonna steal a robot and have him fight drug dealers because we owe this other drug dealer like $200 million. I'm just like, hey, wait a minute, that's too stupid. You already ripped off RoboCop with the whole police force thing. Don't rip off it, don't do more stupidity, don't throw it in my face, Blomkamp. And of course, he does. Chappie looks at these people as his parents. He doesn't look at Dev Patel as his parent. Even though Dev Patel created him, he looks at these assholes as his parent, and he's just like, yeah, I gotta go along with them. They take him for a ride along to rob shit, and there's literally one scene in the movie, he comes back into the hideout, he's got like 4 PS4s with him. Now, wait, you have 4 what are you gonna do with 4 PlayStation 4s? You only need one PlayStation, and seriously, do you even need a PlayStation at all? You're a robot. And then even in the end, where they actually kind of look like they're likable, they're still not likable, because there's this final action scene going down where Hugh Jackman's got the Magneto helmet on, and he's controlling this flying, giant-ass, crazy Transformer thing. Looks like a Transformer. He's got a not a Professor X, Magneto helmet on. Yeah, they're trying to help Chappie take down that giant-ass robot, but at the same time, you're just like, I hope both of you die, and your other dude there. I hope all of these drug dealers just die. Hope Dev Patel and Chappie live. So yeah, other than the stupid-ass unlikable characters, there's also these dumb subplots. The drug dealing plot being one of them, which is a subplot turned into a main plot. Honestly, the movie could have just done without that. If they got rid of all the drug smuggling and drug dealing bullshit that they threw in this movie, I'd be like, cool movie. But no, they had to throw that in there and make that like the main plot for like an hour and 40 minutes, and then the last 20 minutes was focusing on Hugh Jackman and his Magneto helmet controlling a giant-ass transformer that flew. Dude, Sigourney Weaver! You don't even like her! She's a bitch in this movie! Ultimately, though, I feel like that's not where the movie had its biggest faults, though. The movie fails when it's trying to answer the questions that it sets out to give you in the movie. There's no answers to those questions. Elysium had, it was the same thing. It was like there weren't answers to all the questions, but at least most of the questions in Elysium were answered. In this, it's trying to tackle humanity, and all the questions that Chappie has are just kind of all left out in the cold. Like, there's one scene where he's getting the living shit kicked out of him, and he's like, why do you humans do this? Like, what is the point? What drives you to this point? The movie never really answers that, and none of the other questions it really has about humanity. So, honestly, the movie fails in delivering its message. If there is one cool part about the action scenes in this movie, or, well, just the movie in general, I will say that the Chappie and Dev Patel plotline towards the end got a little interesting, because I was like, that could turn into something like District 9, or, maybe Elysium or something. And ultimately it did. The sad part was, that was like the last 10 minutes of the movie, and that was the most interesting part of the movie. And I just feel like that there was kind of some weird, moments in there. It's just like, so all these robots, this happens to them, but you have all these humans on standby since when? I didn't think you needed human cops anymore. I mean, the robots pretty much took over. Ultimately, this movie kind of reminded me of RoboCop, when they're like, yeah, Johannesburg is now an all-robotic police force. I feel like now that it's 3 films into Blomkamp's career, and he gave us District 9, and that was a unique twist on an alien on a sci-fi alien movie, it was pretty good. And then Elysium was another idea that he had. It was sure, there were some faults in there, some questions that weren't answered, but for the most part, it was pretty good. When it gets to Chappie, you're just like, is he running out of ideas already? I guess so. Because Chappie was not that thrilling or good. It's definitely Blomkamp's worst movie, but I will say the action scenes were pretty cool in this movie, so that is definitely another positive. Dev Patel, the acting, except for those douchebag drug dealers that I totally hate. Everybody else that we know from Hollywood, like Dev Patel, Hugh Jackman, Sigourney Weaver, Charlton Copley, they were all good in this movie. And it was cool to see Chappie adapt to a robot life and him being trained like a human. When he got the consciousness, he kind of thought like a human. You see that. You see him kind of adapt to that. He starts off as acting like a little baby, and then he gradually grows, and you're like, that is interesting. But ultimately, Chappie falls short because there are too many subplots that end up becoming the main plot, and those subplots that become the main plot, you don't end up caring about. The characters are very unlikable in this movie. Hugh Jackman's character ultimately just rips off Hugh Jackman's other own franchise. The movie leaves a lot of questions unanswered, has a lot of questions about humanity, what humanity is, how do we control humanity. None of it is answered, really. But the action scenes are cool, the acting from the main cast, aside from the drug dealers, is pretty good. I'm talking about Hugh Jackman, Dev Patel, Sigourney Weaver. Charlton Copley really killed it as Chappie. I think we all know how that's going to turn out after we've had 3 attempts at trying to revive Alien. Alien 3, Alien Resurrection, those weren't good. Prometheus, disappointing. Just points to the fact that no matter who's directing, Neill Blomkamp, James Cameron, Ridley Scott, it's Neill Blomkamp doing Alien 5, but this is just proof. Not going to be good. To me, this is a movie that had so much potential. I thought it had the potential to be better than Elysium. It's so boring you'll fall asleep within the first 5 minutes. Yep, wasted potential by Blomkamp, and the sad part is he wants to do a sequel to this. I was hoping, there were some entertaining parts, but for the most part, it was pretty boring. Now, I am interested to see what you guys think of Chappie. This one is one that I think can go either way. I think that same thing could be said for Elysium, but I think more positive reaction for Elysium than Chappie. So whatever you think of Chappie, I want some feedback. Drop me a comment in the comments section below. And for more news and reviews on movies, movie trailers, video games, and TV shows, hit the big red subscribe button. Find me on Twitter. Find me on Facebook. I'll put those links in my next video. And welcome to my